everyone. My name is Joy Davis. I am the manager of adult and community programs here at the Walters Art Museum, and today I'm chatting with Merle Davison. Merle is a poet, a self-taught sculptor, also a jewelry artist, and the piece de resistance is that you are also a security officer here at the Walters Art Museum. How are you doing today?
I'm doing well. I mean, considering everything that we're
Right.
all dealing with, I'm doing all right. I can't
And
complain.
I wanted to know what do you like about the Walters or working at the Walters?
Well, first of all, I love that it's a free museum because that gives I know for a fact that there are people that if it costs, $10 to get in or whatever, some people just don't have that. And some people just, there are families that come in that would not come in, I don't think, if it costs money. It's just it makes it truly accessible. It makes the accessibility not based on a socioeconomic situation. So it's just a even playing field for everybody to come in. I love that. And it's an extraordinary collection of art. I had no idea when I wanted to work at a museum, but I had no idea that the collection is as extensive as it is. It's a world-class museum. It's a gem of Baltimore. And, I love the pieces in there that I've discovered. I love telling people about, my favorite pieces when they come in. I love being around the art and being able to walk around and look at the art and help people find art and I love my coworkers. So there's a lot to love about being there.
That's beautiful. We're just going to dive right into your artistic practice.
Sure.
How do you go from idea to art object? And
I walk around with a little it's very nerdy, a little flashlight connected to my waist or whatever, and it allow I can't shine it on the paintings, of course, but the sculptures, it's harmless. So, and I'll shine the light, because sometimes the shadows, you can't see like the eyes. I'm always really interested in seeing how other sculptors do the eyes, because there are as many different ways to do eyes as there are sculptors. And I love being able to actually see the details. And there are just some beautiful sculptures at the Walters that are incredibly inspiring. So, ideas come from, they can come from, like, there's on the fourth floor of the Walters, there are little sculptures of an African king and queen. And they are just so stunningly beautiful that it made me want to do a duo. So I was already doing, and the ideas, I don't know where they come from. Sometimes I see something that, moves me and makes me want to do something similar. I work a lot off of photographs. I'm doing a series now of Black folks from the 1800s, and I don't even really know where that idea came from, but there are images that are just beautiful, and there are sculptures that are beautiful, and I get an idea and I just start working on it, you know. Get the clay and just go for it. So I don't know if that really answered the question, but
it does answer the question about your process and also how you kind of create your idea. Because the initial question was about how do you go from idea to art object, but often we don't even talk about how you arrive at your idea. And it's really cool that you are inspired by the king and queen sculpture. You also mentioned when we've had conversations before about the Othello sculpture, I don't know if that plays into when you are articulating certain faces or movements of the garments themselves. Even though
absolutely.
they're very static, there is a way that you have to kind of, interpret clothing. And you
Yeah.
do that in your work.
Oh yeah, absolutely. That Othello sculpture is that's another stunning piece, and it's also really stunning because that it's marble and bronze, which I don't even understand that. It's, I mean, it's beautiful. But yeah, I love doing um I love doing clothing. I mean, because you can get so much, movement and texture. I mean, I love doing faces. I love doing the sculpture. I mean, it brings a lot of joy, and I love it. I love working with the clay. I love feeling the clay in my hands. Yeah, and I do. I love looking at how the folds of fabric. It's just, yeah, yeah, it just I'm at a loss for words for how it makes me feel to do something and then look at it and be like, wow, that looks good. I did that. Or
How are you staying creative right now during the pandemic and just everything that's happening around us?
it's easy to stay creative because I have more time now, and I am one of the fortunate ones to be, and so grateful to still be receiving a paycheck. So I have the time to sculpt without the intense worry that comes with not getting a paycheck. It's freeing. So I have the time to, I mean, if I was a full time artist, this is what I would be doing. I would be getting up, I would be, working. There are endless sources of inspiration, and in my own personal, I mean, I'm working on my great great grandparents now. I mean, that those two sculptures, the African King and Queen, inspired me to do that duo. So I mean, I'm like, wait a minute, why am I looking on? I got my own people from the 1800s. So you
Right.
know, my wife. I mean, she's got there's inspiration everywhere. So
That's
that
awesome.
yeah, that's not a problem.
And do you feel like that is your way of coping, or do you use your art to cope, not just during this time, but um, at any given moment?
Yeah, absolutely. It's always there. When I am not feeling that great about myself, or just feeling down or whatever, I I know this is what I turn to. I need to do something that makes me feel good. And sculpting is always the thing that I can go to that doesn't have any um, negative baggage attached
Mhm.
to it. You know, so I mean, I'm a poet too, and sometimes writing is gives me that, but there's a part of both processes that really doesn't feel so good, and it's like in the beginning, when I'm just like you know, getting the facial structure, and I'm starting to form the nose, and there's a point at which it doesn't look like anything. You know what I mean? It's just a lump of clay with a bump for a nose, and all this stuff, and it doesn't look like what I want it to end up looking like. And I get in that worry that it's not gonna, like, this isn't gonna look like anything. It doesn't look like anything. It's I'm like, what is this? So there is, I go through that. And I guess, I don't know, I guess all artists, or I guess all people, go through that in whatever their endeavor is. There are moments when I don't feel capable of getting to where I want to get, but I come back, and when I have those feelings, I can look at the things that I've already done and say, okay, well, I know I can do this. So I'm just going to keep going. And there is no greater joy than seeing it go from not looking like anything to actually looking like a person. So yeah, I use art. Art is definitely a coping. If I didn't have this, um, yeah, I'd be going out of my mind right now, and probably driving my wife out of her mind. So, and everybody around me. So, yeah, I would be nuts without it.
And I think there's some tips in there of what you said for other people, like you said, not just for artists, but also for others that are. It can be challenging to work at this time. So I think that was just great positivity and positive advice for folks to kind of work through the moment, and that sometimes things are tough, but like you start with something that may not be recognizable, and you start formulating something that's recognizable. I think that's very astute for sculpture, but definitely even for life in
Yeah,
general.
absolutely. Thank you. Yeah.
My last question for you is just what are you looking forward to uh, in the next month, or just once we're back together in our space at the Walters?
Um, yeah, I'm looking forward to getting out of the house in a way that doesn't feel dangerous.
You and me both.
I'm looking forward to being back with my coworkers, with the art and and the visitors. I mean, I love I love telling people things that they're like not expecting. Like one of my favorite things is the Walters has the um, oldest monumental sized black lacquer wooden Buddha in existence. I mean, it's this monumental Buddha, and it's beautiful. It's magnificent, and it's like from the year six something or 569, something like that. And when I tell people that, they're like, "Oh my God, really? Well, I have to see that." And I mean, nobody's expecting that.
Thank you so much, Merle, for being here with us. Again, I hope I get to see you in person sooner rather than later.
Yeah, hopefully. Thanks so much, Joy.
Of course, thank you so much.
All
Bye.
right. Bye.